This is the Alliance Dispatch. Do you read us?
Welcome back to another Alliance Dispatch report from the field, not the field, from the office. I am Dispatcher number one because James has yet to challenge me to another game. As aforementioned, Alliance Dispatcher number two is James. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm great, mate. I've just been doing quite well at another card game, so a bit challenging for the title, but that'll be coming.
Yeah. I mean, if it was who would win a game of Flesh and Blood for Dispatcher number one, I think you would be Dispatcher number one. We'll start a Flesh and Blood podcast just so that you can be important, mate.
That sounds great. I just see like the whole Seto Kaiba thing. I'll flip the rulebook. I'll be like, now you're playing my game.
No. Yeah,
but not bad.
Yeah, good to hear. In the world of SWU, I imagine you've just been deep in the Flesh and Blood mines for your Pro Quest of the weekend. Have you played any SWU since we last spoke?
I have played exactly one game of SWU, so not a huge amount. I try and play on my Thursday Armory for Flesh and Blood with a few friends. We try and play before it starts. I got pretty much destroyed actually.
Yeah.
So, no, it's 2 games. It's a best of 3, but two games. But one game.
Yeah.
Luke Green against my Casino Han.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, got destroyed. Crap deck. Mate.
You off it? Oh, he's caught up, everyone. He's caught up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just if you don't. Neither of those games I saw a Ewing, and when you don't see a Ewing, it turns out decks are bad.
Yeah. When you can't Ewing out an out of aspect Luke to be like, bam, Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't get to go ban with Luke Skywalker until like one game where I was already lost. And I had cast it, so it just didn't feel great.
Yeah.
I realized in that moment that it must be an archetype thing that I'm attracted to as a player, because as you all know from playing Fab, the brute class that I like in is like all built around this one card called Bloodrush Bellows, or at least it was for a long time, and that deck was immediately my jam, and literally around one card, and that is you.
Yeah. Do you still roll dice in your brute deck? Is there literal just?
Yeah. Not that much.
Yeah.
I think I rolled about 3 or 4 times on the Pro Quest on the weekend.
Yeah. 6s every time.
No, so I think I got 2 action points most of the time. I was very lucky, except for one game where I rolled a 3 and was like, I really need this to land. So I rolled it into a 1. And people were watching because they were at the top of Swiss, and everyone went, ooh.
Oh, I love that noise.
Yeah.
I love it when you're playing.
It did make me feel a little bit better. So, that was it was fun, but dice rolling is not great.
Yeah, you just want to pull that slot machine handle down, and you want to see like 777, but instead you're seeing cherry, 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 and you're like,
Yeah, basically. So it turns out I am a gambler gamer, which.
Yeah. I mean, I could have told you. You used to play Sabine, like mono yellow Sabine, and that was just, could I roll 6s? I have. Well, I've won the game. Thank you for showing up. So I think there's a lot to be said for you and your playstyle of just be lucky.
Yeah. Don't be good, just be lucky. I've always said that.
Just be lucky.
Good. So that's true. Actually, I've got a tattoo that says good luck on it. So it's clearly a thing that I've just now realised.
Are you sure it doesn't say chicken noodle soup?
Luckily, it's not in a script that isn't English. So.
Oh, nice. It's got English characters. Nice.
Although, funny enough, I do have a friend that has Chinese symbols. He's covered, but he's got Chinese right above his bum, the tramp stamp they used to call it. And that does say chicken chow mein. But he did that on purpose. Because
because who wouldn't want a tramp stamp of chicken chow mein?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, when you're covered anyway, it becomes...
it becomes nothing,
So what about you? Have you been playing any SWU? Sorry.
Well, you've got to go on the random chain where it goes. SWU this week. What have I done? I have done quite a lot of Blue Vader testing after its tremendous performance on the 5K the weekend before. However, it's a deck I am somewhat familiar with because I played it against a version of it. It was not as tuned at London Twickenham event all those weeks ago, and it was like a 30 event Darth Vader deck. So it's good to kind of see that come back in a more refined, that's the word, refined package. So, and I remember how awful that felt to play against back in Twickenham. So it kind of immediately piqued my interest to see like, oh, this has now had the brain boxes behind it. And it is almost like playing a different game.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you in that Twickenham video, you being like, yeah, it was weird. It was, there's a little bit of salt there, a bit like, why should I be matching into this? And I was like, sounds quite interesting. And you're like, yeah, it's bad. Don't bother with it.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Trash.
How the turntables.
Yeah, so instead of playing that in real life at my weeklies this week, I decided to go with Blonde Sabine because it counters it quite well. And I thought there's like one or two players locally who are like quite meta boys. And I thought, well, one of them might bring it. So I'll bring the counter. Because for those of you who don't know how to counter that deck, it's a lot of hand discard. You play Spark Rebellion, Forced Surrender, and that other card that's red that makes you discard down to 2 cards.
Something about negotiations? Or
No, that's Forced Negotiation, Blood and Fire. It's a red card, shockingly. Smoke and Cinders. We got there in the end. Yeah, so you just want to pull cards out of that player's hand, and then they can't play it to remove your stuff, and then they're like, oh god, this board, and then you kill them. And that's what my Yellow Sabine did. It played Forced Surrenders and Spark Rebellions, because Spark Rebellion is probably my favorite card in the set, but I don't play Yellow Hero enough to like really get any fun from it. But that's all going to change next set with like Smuggling Han, which is what we're going to get on to a bit later on. But yeah, so I played Blonde Sabine. I went 2-2. I lost to a Krennic control deck, and I lost to a green Grand Inquisitor deck, who was then completely thrashed in the last round by another Yellow Sabine player. But that guy's been playing Yellow Sabine for like 2 months. So I would have expected him to do a lot better than I would. Considering I change deck every week. But we've got Store Champs in 3 weeks' time. I'm going to lock in Blue Vader now. I've got my Avengers on the way. I've had my Vigilance for 6 weeks. I bought them for £6 each, everyone, just to make you all feel bad about your recent purchases. And I'm just going to lock that in, and just get some more practice in. I've been just like sneaking in a bit of Force Table against aggressive AI. But come this week, this Thursday onwards, is proper practice time.
Yeah, grind time.
Yeah, so you'll be hearing a lot about Blue Vader over the next 3 weeks until my Store Championships is over. And then, hopefully, Twin Suns.
Fingers crossed. I mean,
yeah,
it's quite a big step for you, isn't it? Because I feel like, was it the first episode of this? Or maybe it was even our first episode with Carl where you said, I will never play Control.
Yeah, it probably was just like last week or the week before. It's very different Control, though, because you're not having to worry about board presence. Like, you're just playing spells. You don't play anything. You're just like, here's a card to get rid of that. Like, here's a card to get rid of that. Super Laser Destroyer, flip Vader, win the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite simple because you're not trying to build a board state.
Yeah.
How do I most efficiently remove your threats off the table?
Yeah. And, how many times can I entrench before I find my Super Laser Blast?
Yeah.
Flip Vader and win the game. Like, oh, the other big counterplay to it, telling everyone how to beat this deck, because I don't think any single local person watches these episodes. Just don't deploy your leader until after they Super Laser blasted and they bring out Vader. Like, maybe if you've got Sabine, because you really need to try and rush them in the aggro. But the moment you play your leader and then and it gets entrenched, you can't do anything. At least when it's sat in base, you can still get your base side out of it.
Yeah. And don't deploy your leader if it's your only unit because
Don't do that.
dark side
Yeah, we'll get power to the dark side or entrenched.
or entrenched. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the two ways to make leaders real sad. I wonder whether or not they realize with entrench the power of it as a control card on your opponent's units rather than it just being a buff. I mean, they must have, and they must have seemed okay, but a 2-cost card that neutralizes your opponent's leader, obviously it makes them really big. So if you're playing ground units, you would obviously just have a very bad time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe there is a balance in that, but yeah.
It is an interesting design that I think is opening doors to abuse. Because, like you say, when you put something on, even if it's on a space unit, like, and you have got like,
It doesn't feel right as well being able to play on a space unit.
yeah, it feels wrong, right? Like it's so flexible. It's like way too flexible.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense being able to play it on your opponent's unit, like thematically, because you can like force them to be entrenched, just the way you can be entrenched and like, consolidating your power or whatever, and fighting across battlefield. But like, yeah, putting on a space unit is bizarre, for sure. That doesn't make any.
Yeah, it's just my brain just can't comprehend how does it entrench in space.
I think someone said. I think I saw someone say about this on like Facebook or something. Like, they just pretended that there was like a Star Destroyer or something stopping people escaping atmosphere. Or
oh, like a blockade, like the Trade Federation of Trade blockaded Naboo.
Yeah, because they all just flew out of it anyway. So
yeah, one ship that left just went. But it was piloted by R2D2, gave him the little sassy corner, like look over his shoulder and say, "Act as you got the hyperspace drive back online." That's what.
And they did it again in the N1 Starfighters or whatever. Look at me knowing my spaceship names.
Yeah.
The yellow ships at the end of the blows them up. They all flew past them and into them and around them. They could have just left. I'm pretty sure they could have.
Oh, true. Yeah, during the fight. Yeah.
That whole thing, that whole premise was pretty loose. Anyway, we're not here discussing the fallacies of those films, but Entrench is weird. Just imagine it is a useless trade federation,
but not as racist.
But not as
a more Disney trade federation, you might say. Which is racist in a different way, but that's the Disney Corporation. We'll move on. So what I wanted to talk about this week is that I know that we had kind of talked about some of the cards in depth, and we'd kind of gone through like, this is a 3/3 for 3 with this ability. But I just want to give a more like general look at the next set as what we've got coming in. And my first takeaway is just we've seen a lot of blue. And I guess that's partly because of when they showed off the Mando and Moff Gideon starter decks, is that they're obviously both blue-based starters.
Yeah.
And we've only got one red card, but that one red card, for everyone, it's the new Hotshot DL44 Blaster, which is Han's gun. And it's fantastic.
Yeah. So we've had 6 blue cards and 3 green, 3 yellow, 1 red, 1 black, 1 white.
Yeah. And then we've got the extra yellow that isn't on this list yet, but we'll have a look at that in a minute.
Yeah, you're right. So there's 4 yellows now. Yeah, the Hotshot looks great. We were saying before we started that I think this opens up some really cool windows for deck building, which is obviously what you want with Unlimited. Like, that was the premise of the game. All these unlimited combinations. And I was a bit, having played the game, I don't know about you, but I was a bit like, well, it's not really unlimited. Like, it is if you're a casual player, obviously. But, like, I'm not going to be putting a lot of these cards in these other decks because it just doesn't work because of the penalties. But now you see stuff like this where you can just play the smuggle fee. So, the cost, so it'd be 3 plus a yellow instead of 1 and a red.
Yeah.
You don't need the red aspect. So you could put a red card in your yellow deck and never pay that aspect. It just means you can't hard play it for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. If we see more of this, not even necessarily just with Smuggle, which is an amazingly, such a cool mechanic. I'm so here for that. But even not outside of that mechanic, if we just see more of this, you can play it with this aspect, or you can play it with this aspect. Different ability.
Yeah,
I think that's a really cool space.
Yeah, there's also I can't remember the card. slipping my mind at the moment, but there's a yellow card which you, instead of paying its cost, you can just discard a yellow card to pay for it.
Yes, Bamboozle.
Bamboozle. And that's the only card currently in the game that lets you do something like that. And, you know, if you were splashing that into a non-yellow deck and you had 2 Bamboozles, then obviously you could pitch one to play Bamboozle for free. So it's obviously not the best as a kind of a spot, like, spicy play, because the likelihood of you having another yellow card to discard to do it. But if they start printing, like, red cards, which is like discard a blue card to pay this for free, and you start getting that, like, disparity of, like, how wacky can these decks get? Because what I'd really love is to get to a point where you know half of someone's deck. Like, you can basically go, like, at the moment, I feel like any hero deck, you can probably name the 50 cards, 45 to 50 cards that are guaranteed to be in their deck, regardless of what hero it is. Because Chirrut's the only one who plays a little bit differently. Where Villain's got this grand, different archetypes of builds and, like, tribes and stuff that it can kind of pull from. And I feel like the more stuff like Hotshot Blaster and all these smuggle cards that we'll be able to play to just kind of pull in and just see as spicy as, yeah. Like, I a few times on Tabletop Simulator, I've come across people who have just, like, splashed in, like, Overwhelming Barrage into their Luke deck. And you're just like, tum-ta-tum-tum-tum. And then it's just like, Barrage for 7. And you're like, what? That's really good. Why has this happened to me? But obviously, as you know, he's had to pay 7 to play that and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes just, you know, a little bit of spice is good. And I think the more we get into those kind of cards that kind of allow us to do that a bit freely, more than just having to pay that 2 additional resource cost, the better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as well, Bamboozle's got a special place in my heart because we played a little casual game after our pre-release. I think I destroyed I did something with it. Against you.
Yeah.
I was in we're both in Boba, so I didn't have to pay the aspect penalty.
Yeah.
Which is great, and it won me a couple of games that pre-release. So
yeah.
And it does bamboozle you quite.
It does bamboozle. I do want to point out though that art on that card is horrendous, and it looks like Mick Jagger.
It does, yes, yeah.
Yeah, just for anyone who hasn't quite put that together yet, you probably didn't even know what bamboozle did.
Yeah.
But it's Mick Jagger trying to convince the higher ups that everything's fine here.
Yeah.
How are you?
I think he's like fiddling with his amp on stage or something and looking to the sound guy and being like, why does my voice sound
We won't go into that. My favourite of all the spoilers, though, and this will be a little bit of how crazy the bounty system is. We called this last episode with Carl that I can't read his name.
Do you want me to?
Evazan,
Evazan, I think.
Evazan, Dr. Evazan.
Correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, wanted in 12 systems, and his bounty is ready up to 12 resources. You see what they did there? Because he's wanted in 12 systems. 12 resources. Well, like, I was like, 12 is really arbitrary number, right? There's no difference between 10, 12, 8. Like, but like, if it's more than like 2, it might as well just be 50.
Yeah.
So I really like what they did there. Is he good? Absolutely. Is he good on turn 10? Absolutely not.
Yeah, he's very well statted for a 2-cost. Obviously, the bounty is good, bad for him.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, that's balanced out by the fact that he's an early gameplay and late game you really don't want to see it. I think you can. The skill there is really in like when you claim, as like we've said quite a lot, like claiming initiative in this game and knowing when to do that is huge. And with him, you have to be aware, like, I should maybe claim to make sure they don't just kill me with something and then like play a card and then kill me with something.
Yeah.
And then ready their resources, right? Like you need to make sure that you get him killed before they play anything.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you can attack with something on turn 2, bang the shield off, and then attack something on turn 3 and kill him, he's done work. He's done, like, I think for your opponent, I think a lot of it's going to be people getting in people's heads like, I really need to, like, I really want that bounty, so I'm not going to kill him yet. I'm going to do this, and this, and this. And meanwhile, they're doing crazy other things. Like if you start giving him equipment and stuff and like beefing up his health, maybe that gives him more of a target. But like I think at some point you just got to ignore that he already's 12 resources, treat him like a normal minion, just remove him as quick as possible because he's really quite strong. 3/3 for 2. Like I don't think we'll see the 2/2 for 2 anymore. The little smuggler dude is in every Boba deck.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, crafty smuggler. I don't think we're going to see him anymore.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to miss him, but I do also really enjoy, especially like Inquisitor decks and stuff, playing is it Open Fire? The picture of
Yeah.
with -2, and then they just die and they just like lose.
Yeah, make an opening.
Make an opening. That's it.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, we're with Dr. Evans doesn't care. He's like, I'm a 1/1 now, baby. He doesn't like you.
I just want to see his mate as well. I hope they work together.
Yeah.
We saw Forlom and Zuckus as well in the like the art for them. So we've not seen their cards, but we've seen the art. Their art was very similar and things like that. So it'd be really cool to see his mate.
Yeah.
Larry, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I also, just as a bit of a side, from that episode in A New Hope where these guys are in it, I never really felt like they were actually wanted dudes.
Yeah.
They very much come across as just like me and you down the pub, seeing like an 18-year-old kid being like, "You'd be dead."
We do that a lot. We have to do that.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
Kids in pubs. But yeah, I do know what you mean. I thought they were just like small, like big fish, small pond kind of vibe as well.
Yeah.
Because that interesting bit of stupid Star Wars lore, the only time a lightsaber permits, like there's the weird like gust of air blood when Maul gets sliced up.
Oh yeah.
Outside of this, the dude.
Oh yeah.
That's the only time you see blood from a lightsaber wound.
Because it doesn't cauterize.
Yeah, because apparently it's something to do with like the arachnid blood or something in him, or something like bled before it cauterized or something. I don't know. There's an in-universe reason for why that particular limb gets blood and nowhere else does.
Thanks, George. Yeah, I don't even know what race he is, but I know that he's like, because of that one scene, they're now bad guys in Star Wars.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And also, I think they're just like hard to emote, right? They're hard. Oh, there's my dog. They're hard to like show emotions with, aren't they? So it's hard to like present them as anything other than like cold-blooded killer tarantula men. Basically.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, hi Marge.
She's down here.
We need Marge cam.
Camera shy. You wanna come up? You gonna come up?
Yeah, get the people what they want.
Good. Right, now you're annoying. Go away. And now I don't know where I am in terms of the frame anymore, so sorry if I'm off. Am I off?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Right. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah, the only other real spicy card that's come up recently is Golden Dice posted up Spare the Target, which is a heroic cunning card. Yeah. Which is just returns a non-leader unit to its opponent's hand and you collect the unit's bounty. So it's Waylay with an extra step, but costs the same. And the extra step, real good. Depending if it has a bounty or not. But
yeah, I think you just won't see Waylay in hero decks anymore, probably. Or
you'll see both.
Waylay is pretty good.
Yeah, just imagine like cunning, Waylay, Spare the Target. Just how much bounce back to hand that is.
That's too much bounce back to hand.
Yeah. Like
I obviously I feel like we've seen that I'm pretty sure Jabba's going to be a leader in this set, seeing as he is a literal crime lord.
Yeah.
Or Dynamo or whatever they called him.
Dynamo.
Yeah, weird. I'm just gonna call him a
Japanese king thing. Yeah. Well, Star Wars is based on samurai movies, dude.
Sure, that is true. So yeah, I mean, it'd be cool because I'm sure he's going to be a control deck, right? So like, yeah, I'm excited to see just how much bounce we can have and what that actually leads to. Because, like the blue stuff right now, the payoffs are big, but the yellow payoffs for going the distance, I don't think are quite there. So
yeah, like seeing high. I don't think every color needs a big top end. Like, I don't think we'll see huge red cards because I don't think that's what that color is designed to do. Although Palpatine is spicy. But yeah, I just like it's nice to finally see a great hero card. Because kind of my issue, like I said earlier with Hero, is like it's all very similar and it's all based around the Rebel package. And that's why I don't think like Chewie at the moment is particularly very good, because all that Rebel stuff doesn't interact with him as a leader.
Yeah.
So it's nice to just get like just really solid just removal cards, which you can just stack with the other currently good yellow removal of hand bounce back. And all you need then is like a card that just is like, when an opponent's character is removed from play, then you get all this kind of stuff. Like, you know, with Boba making Waylay cost 2 in essence, you need 3 to pay for it, but then you immediately get 1 back off his ability. Really strong.
Yeah.
So if we get something similar like that for a hero character, there's 100% an archetype where you're just bouncing stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well, I can't remember the name. I think I'm going to open up this deck box here. I think it's Underworld or something. Yes, it is Underworld. That is an archetype we've seen, obviously, with Anne, who I've just looked at.
Yeah.
And Chewie's got that archetype, the unit has got that archetype, and so does the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
So it's just something I personally am very excited to see more of as a Jabba and now Han Solo fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving away from Rebels and seeing some Underworld synergies would be really cool.
Yeah, and I kind of also like makes me think about, obviously each set has its own theme and stuff. So will all the bounties be in this set, and then will it be a year before we see new bounties and new? I'm trying to think of the other capture and smuggling sets, like, because you know Magic is very focused within its themings of its sets. So this is also going to make Bounty Hunters really, really good, just like the first save made Imperial and Rebels really, really good. And that will we see more Rebels and Imperials, you know, little drips and jabs, so maybe we'll get the odd smuggle or bounty here and there.
I'd be surprised if we didn't get like the odd thing just to like keep things ticking over, like so, you know, drawing again from Fab, they've started doing an expansion slot to their sets now, so there's no like standalone expansion sets, it's all themed, but then there's, you know, like 12-20 cards or something that are like majestic level rarity, but they're completely nothing to do with the current set.
Right.
They just sort of drip feed this support, so some heroes that need support will get that, and it's almost like a video game patch, and
yeah,
a lot easier to roll things out quicker to support heroes that are struggling because of the printing process. You know, they're waiting for a whole set based around a theme. They can just drop them in and sprinkle them in where needed.
Sure.
So it'd be interesting to see if this game does that, because I can't imagine that we'll see anywhere near as much of these archetypes going forward after this set, but you'd expect to see a little bit here and there for those people that really enjoy it. And Smuggler's awesome, let's be honest. Everyone likes Smuggler.
Yeah, who doesn't love, like, you know, I'm here to say it, and I think The Mandalorian proved it, is that some of the best Star Wars has absolutely nothing to do with Jedi.
Yeah.
Like Rogue One, fantastic. I was going to say there's not a single lightsaber in that movie. There is right at the end when Darth Vader's real mad.
Yeah.
And that is a great scene.
That makes it better, like the fact that it's not people spinning lightsabers and doing backflips for 90 minutes. It's like really impactful when he finally ignites it. You're like,
yeah,
you know, like really value, like makes that scene so much more hard hitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. There's and I think as well, people love, like, not even just Boba Fett and like the underworld that they've already established massively in the lore, but like people love the different bounty hunters. Like some people are obsessed with Cad Bane, some people are obsessed with, I don't know why, but I know some people that really love Forlom and Zuckuss, and you know, we know our mate Carl loves Afra, so you know, bounty hunters, and
she's an archaeologist, mate. She's not a bounty hunter.
I slapped my wrist as I said that. But
yeah, you know what I mean? I glued together some Shatterpoint models because I also play a lot of Shatterpoint, and I stuck together Hondo, and I don't know whether or not it's going to focus. Yeah, there he is. Do you see that Salacious Crumb on his shoulder? It's obviously not Salacious Crumb.
Yeah, the monkey lizard.
But it's a monkey lizard. But how good is that pose, man?
That is pure.
Just good business.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait for some Hondo action in SWU.
Oh, you just call it SWU as well.
I know.
I'm acknowledging who I am as a gamer, and you're saying SWU. Like this,
Yeah.
this is a great podcast now.
Yeah, we've really gone back to roots, and we're really discovering ourselves in not a Brokeback Mountain way this time, but it will come. It will come.
Yeah, just gotta wait for those big tournaments somewhere, and we get
Yeah.
now. It's really lovely.
Yeah, can't wait. Can't wait. Right, I think that's kind of wraps up everything we wanted to talk about, really, before we cut to the other site. If you know, you know. We'll see you there.
Cheers, guys. See you next time.
See you next time.
Is the Alliance Dispatch. Over and out.